Pigeons, right? They're kind of just part of the city furniture. You see them everywhere, you walk past them, maybe shoo them away from your lunch. But what if there's a whole other story here? Something hiding in plain sight that's a lot more serious than just a bit of a mess. Yeah, let's get into it.
I mean, you know the scene, right? Picture any big city plaza, and there they are, a whole flock of pigeons, just doing their thing. They're basically a landmark at this point, whether you're in Mumbai or Barcelona. We're so used to them, they're practically invisible.
But, that familiarity, it can make us a little complacent. We're so focused on the mess they make, but what if we're missing the real story? Researchers are starting to ask a much scarier question. Could these birds actually be a risk to our health?
Okay, so let's move beyond just the mess. It's time to talk about the invisible stuff, the actual, documented health risks that scientists are linking to these huge city pigeon populations.
All right, let's look at the science. A recent study out of Sindh, Pakistan, actually tested city pigeons, and wow, what they found is pretty eye-opening. A big chunk of them were carrying some nasty stuff. I'm talking salmonella, a type of chlamydia that can make people really sick, and even a fungus called Cryptococcus neoformans. These aren't just big, scary science words. They're real threats, and they're flying around right over our heads.
So you might be thinking, okay, but how much are we actually exposed to this? Well, get this. That same study found that almost 3/4 of people living in the city said they have pigeon droppings right where they live and work. We're not talking about some far-off problem. This is on our balconies, our windowsills, the parks where our kids play.
So how does it even get from the bird to us? It's not like you have to touch them. The real danger is when the droppings dry out. They crumble into this fine dust, right? And then anything, a gust of wind, kids running around a playground, can kick that dust up into the air. Suddenly it's an aerosol, and we're breathing it right in. That's how these germs can get straight into our lungs.
And for some people, especially with constant exposure, it can get really serious. There's a condition called hypersensitivity pneumonitis. They even call it pigeon breeder's lung. It's basically your own immune system freaking out, causing inflammation and even scarring in your lungs. And the scary part? The early symptoms just feel like the flu. So it often gets missed until real lasting damage has already happened.
Okay, so that's the problem. It's a bit grim, I know, but what's the solution? How do we fix this? Well, the first step, the first line of defense, is all about physical barriers. We're talking about simple, smart ways to keep pigeons from turning our buildings into their personal condos.
You've really got to think about this on two different levels. Level 1 is protecting a specific building, say a hospital or your apartment block. Level 2 is the boss battle, managing the entire pigeon population for a whole city. And yeah, they need totally different game plans. For that building-by-building approach, the tools are actually pretty straightforward. You've seen them, right? Heavy-duty nets that block off big open spaces, or those spiky strips that make it impossible for a bird to get a comfortable landing. And the cool thing is, the newest stuff is designed to be almost invisible, so it doesn't make buildings look like fortresses. It's a humane no-vacancy sign, basically. But putting up spikes is like playing whack-a-mole, right? You solve the problem in one spot and they just move to the next. To really tackle the citywide issue, you have to get to the root cause. And that means we need a much more advanced, scientific strategy.
For a long time, the go-to method was just capture and kill. A lot of cities, like Barcelona, did this for decades. But here's the thing, it just didn't work. The population would just bounce right back because the remaining birds would just breed faster. Plus, let's be honest, people weren't too thrilled about the whole idea. It felt cruel. So that pushed them to find a smarter, more humane way, and they found it in fertility control. So what is this new method? It all comes down to a special ingredient called nicarbazine. Think of it like birth control for birds. They mix it into corn bait, the pigeons eat it, and it just temporarily stops their eggs from developing. The really key part here is that it's safe and totally reversible. If a pigeon stops eating the special corn, it's back to normal in less than a week. No harm done.
So does it actually work? Oh yeah. The results from Barcelona are incredible. They took two groups of pigeons. One they left alone. The other they gave the special corn. After just 1 year, the untreated group's population grew by almost 13%. But the group on the contraceptive plan? Their population dropped by 22%. That's a huge difference.
Okay, but that's just 1 year. What happens over the long haul? This is the real game changer. Over 3 years, the pigeon populations in the treated areas of Barcelona went down by, wait for it, more than 55%. That's not a temporary fix. That is a sustainable, long-term solution that actually works.
And you know what the researchers who ran this study were most excited about? It wasn't just that the numbers went down. It was that they had found a way to solve a real public health problem ethically. It's a method that works with our modern values about treating animals humanely. It's the best of both worlds, really.
So this is all fascinating, but it's not just up to scientists and city planners. We all have a role to play in this. It's about how we can all help create a healthier city, for us and for the animals we share it with. So what can you do? It's pretty simple, actually. 4 key things. Number 1, please don't feed the pigeons. It just makes the problem worse. Number 2, take a look around your own home. Seal up any little spots where they might try to nest. 3, if you have to clean up droppings, be safe about it. Wear gloves, wear a mask. And number 4, if you have a persistent problem, those simple physical things, like spikes, can make a world of difference.
And really, this whole thing boils down to a huge question we're all facing as our cities get bigger and more crowded. How do we protect our own health while still being humane to the wildlife that lives right here with us? It's a tricky balance for sure, but finding it is going to take smart science, a little bit of empathy, and maybe just changing how we see the familiar old pigeon.